Let me ask you something. Have you ever wanted something so badly that, instead of moving closer to it, you started feeling more anxious, more impatient, and somehow even further away from it? It's a strange feeling. You care deeply. You try hard. You think about it all the time. And yet the more tightly you hold on, the more life seems to resist you. That is where Stoic philosophy enters with a truth that can feel uncomfortable at first, but deeply freeing once it lands. Not everything comes into your life because you chase it harder. Some things begin to move when you stop fighting yourself on the inside, because this is the part no one says clearly enough. A restless mind can ruin beautiful opportunities. An attached heart can turn desire into suffering. And a person who keeps trying to force life at the wrong rhythm can end up exhausted, not because the dream was wrong, but because the approach was. The Stoics teach something quieter than modern ambition, but much stronger. They teach you to master your inner world first, your thoughts, your emotions, your expectations, your need to control timing, outcomes, and other people. And when that inner chaos begins to settle, life starts to feel different. You act with more clarity, you choose with more calm, you stop chasing from emptiness and start moving from strength. And that changes everything, because what you want is not always blocked by the world outside you. Sometimes it is blocked by urgency, fear, attachment, and the constant pressure you place on your own mind. So in this episode, I want to walk with you through 10 Stoic rules that can change the way you pursue what you want, the way you handle delays, and the way you stay at peace while life unfolds in its own time. And we have to begin here with the first shift that changes all the others. Want deeply, yes. Dream boldly, yes. But never let your peace become dependent on the thing you desire. That is where this journey begins. Rule 1. Desire without attachment. You do not need to kill desire in order to live well. You do not need to become cold, empty, or indifferent in the lifeless sense of the word. Wanting something beautiful from life is natural. Wanting to grow, to love, to build, to receive, to arrive somewhere better than where you are now, none of that is wrong. The trouble begins when desire quietly becomes dependence. At first, you simply want something. Then, little by little, without noticing, the mind starts turning that desire into a condition. I need this to happen. I need this person. I need this result to finally feel okay. And once that happens, your peace is no longer sitting inside you. It is sitting outside you, tied to something you cannot fully control. That is the trap. Because now every delay feels heavier than it should. Every obstacle starts looking personal. Every unanswered message, every slow season, every uncertain outcome begins to disturb you more than the thing itself deserves. Not because the desire is too deep, but because your inner stability has become attached to whether life gives you what you want on your schedule. The Stoics were very clear about this. You are responsible for your effort, your choices, your discipline, your way of carrying yourself. But the final result is never yours alone. Timing is not yours alone. Other people are not yours to command. Outcomes are shaped by too many things outside your hands. So the more tightly you cling, the more fragile you become. And the strange part is this: attachment does not make you stronger in pursuit. It usually makes you weaker. It clouds judgment. It makes you impatient. It pushes you to force what should be approached with steadiness. It turns desire into inner pressure, and inner pressure has a way of making even good things feel heavy. Stoicism offers a cleaner way to hold what you want. Desire it fully. Work toward it honestly. Give it your attention, your effort, your sincerity. But do not build your emotional life around whether it arrives exactly the way you imagined. Let the goal matter without letting it own you. That shift creates a different kind of energy. Now you can try without panic. You can wait without collapsing. You can keep moving without feeling humiliated by delay. You can lose something without losing yourself with it. Marcus Aurelius lived with that kind of inner discipline. He did not ask life to obey him so that he could feel stable. He trained himself to remain stable while life did whatever life does. That is real strength. So this first rule is simple, but it changes a lot once you really live it. Want what you want, but do not hand your peace over to it. Let desire live in your hands, not around your throat. Because the moment you stop needing the outcome in order to feel whole, you finally become free enough to pursue it well. Rule 2. The power of the present moment. Let's stay with this for a second, because a lot begins to change when you really understand it. Your life is never happening in the past. It is never happening in the future either. It is always happening here, in this moment, in the way you think, the way you respond, the way you carry yourself through what is in front of you right now. And yet the mind has this habit of leaving the present almost all the time. It goes backward into regret, replaying what should have been said, what should have been done, what should not have happened. Or it runs forward into fear, trying to predict timing, control outcomes, and solve things that have not even arrived yet. That movement drains you. Not because reflection is bad, and not because planning is wrong, but because when your mind keeps abandoning the present, you lose contact with the only place where your power actually exists. That is why the Stoics kept returning to this point. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself again and again to stay with what was in front of him, not with the whole weight of life at once, not with 10 imagined futures, just this task, this hour, this response, this moment. There is something deeply calming about that, because when you come back to the present, life becomes more honest, simpler too. You stop trying to carry everything at once. You stop suffering 5 versions of tomorrow before today is even finished. You stop arguing with what already happened, and you return to the only place where something can still be shaped. Here, now, this breath, this choice, this conversation, this next step. That is where peace begins, not in finally controlling the future, not in perfectly repairing the past. Peace begins when you stop leaving the moment you are in. And this matters for everything you want. If your mind is always ahead of life, you act with tension. If your mind is always behind life, you act with heaviness. But when your mind is fully here, your actions become cleaner. You see better. You choose better. You stop reacting to imagination and start responding to reality. That changes your energy in a quiet but powerful way. You become less scattered, less desperate, less internally noisy. And from that place, things begin to move differently. Stoicism does not ask you to stop caring about the future. It asks you not to abandon the present in the name of it, because the future you want is built only one way, through the quality of the moment you are living now. So this second rule is not complicated, but it takes practice. Bring your mind back, again and again. When it runs into regret, bring it back. When it races into fear, bring it back. When it starts telling you that peace is somewhere else, bring it back. Because everything begins here. And the more fully you return to the present, the more fully your life begins to return to you. Rule 3. Turn obstacles into advantage. Now this is where Stoicism stops sounding comforting and starts becoming powerful, because it is easy to feel steady when life is moving the way you hoped. It is easy to trust the path when doors are opening, people are responding, and things seem to be flowing. The real test comes when something blocks you. A delay, a rejection, a mistake, a season that feels heavier than it should. And in that moment, the mind immediately wants to read the obstacle as a bad sign. It wants to say, maybe this is not meant for me, or why is everything becoming difficult now? Or even worse, maybe I was wrong to try at all. But this is exactly where the Stoics ask you to look again. Marcus Aurelius carried one idea that changes everything once it really sinks in. What stands in the way becomes the way, not later. Not after the discomfort disappears. The obstacle itself becomes part of the path. That changes the whole feeling of struggle, because now the difficulty is not just something you need to survive, it becomes something you can use. It starts asking something from you: more patience, more discipline, more emotional control, more trust, more maturity. Sometimes the thing blocking your way is revealing the exact weakness that needed to be exposed before you could carry what you asked for. That is why an obstacle can become an advantage, not because pain is pleasant, not because delay is fun, but because resistance has a way of building inner substance if you stop meeting it like an enemy and start meeting it like a teacher. Think about how different life feels when you ask a different question. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" you begin asking, "What is this trying to strengthen in me?" That one shift changes your relationship with hardship. Suddenly the obstacle is no longer empty. It has meaning, it has direction, it has work to do inside you. Maybe the delay is teaching you how attached you still are to timing. Maybe the rejection is forcing you to stop building your identity on one outcome. Maybe the obstacle is showing you that your peace has been depending too much on comfort. Maybe this season is not punishing you at all. Maybe it is shaping your foundation. The Stoics did not waste difficulty. That is one of the reasons their philosophy still feels alive. They understood that pain without reflection becomes bitterness, but pain with reflection becomes wisdom. The obstacle can harden you in the wrong way or deepen you in the right way. A lot depends on how you meet it. So when something stands in front of you, do not rush to call it failure. Stay with it a little longer. Study it. Let it show you what it came to show you. There is often something hidden inside the resistance that would never have appeared in an easy season. And this is the third rule. Do not just ask how to get past the obstacle. Ask how to use it. Because sometimes the very thing that seems to be slowing your life down is the thing preparing you to carry it properly. Rule 4. Reclaim your inner authority. There comes a point in life when you quietly realize how much of your inner state has been handed over to things outside you. A person's opinion changes your mood. A delay changes your confidence. One difficult conversation throws off your whole day. Someone misunderstands you, and suddenly your peace is gone. That is a hard thing to notice, but it is also the beginning of strength. Because the moment you see it clearly, you also see what has to change. You cannot keep building your life on a mind that is always waiting for the outside world to behave properly before it feels stable. If your calm depends on circumstances, then your calm will always be temporary. If your worth depends on approval, then your worth will always feel fragile. This is why Stoicism keeps bringing you back to the same place. Your real power begins the moment you stop letting the world decide what kind of inner weather you are allowed to have. Marcus Aurelius understood this in a very deep way. He lived in the middle of pressure, politics, betrayal, and uncertainty, yet he kept returning to one simple truth. You have power over your mind, not over every event, not over every person, but over your own mind. And that changes the whole direction of your life. Because once you reclaim that inner authority, you stop living as if every outside event has the right to enter you and rearrange you. You stop giving random people access to your peace. You stop allowing circumstances to tell you who you are. You begin standing on something more solid than mood, praise, timing, or luck. That does not mean you stop feeling. It means your feelings stop becoming your ruler. You can feel disappointment without collapsing into it. You can feel frustration without obeying it. You can feel hurt without handing your whole identity over to the moment. That is what inner authority looks like. It is not coldness, it is self-possession. And honestly, this is where a lot of freedom begins. Because once you stop asking the world for permission to feel okay, your energy returns to you. You are no longer chasing stability through outcomes. You are building it from within. That makes your choices cleaner, your presence stronger, your life less reactive. You also start noticing how often the outside world tries to pull you away from yourself, through noise, through pressure, through comparison, through the subtle feeling that you must keep proving something. But when your center is strong, those things lose some of their grip. They may still touch you, but they no longer control the direction of your mind. So this rule is a quiet one, but it changes everything once you begin living it. Stop waiting for better circumstances to give you a better state of mind. Reclaim authorship over your inner life. Bring your attention back to what is yours to govern, because the day you stop letting the outside world control your inner state is the day your real power begins to return. Rule 5. The strategy of non-forcing. This one can feel strange at first because it goes against the way you've probably been taught to approach life. You're told to push harder, chase faster, make it happen, force momentum, control the pace, control the outcome, control every variable you can reach. And for a while, that can feel like strength. It can even look like strength from the outside, but inside, something else is happening. Tension builds, peace disappears, the mind becomes tight, and little by little, your effort stops coming from clarity and starts coming from fear. That is where Stoicism asks you to slow down and look carefully. Not everything in life responds well to force. Some things do not open because you push harder. Some things open when you stop strangling them with urgency. A relationship, a decision, a season of growth, even your own healing. There are moments when pressure helps, yes. But there are also moments when pressure only disturbs what needed space. The Stoics understood rhythm. They understood that action matters, but so does timing, so does restraint, so does knowing when to move and when to stop interfering. This is what I mean by non-forcing. It is not passivity. It is not laziness. It is not sitting back and hoping life will magically arrange itself for you. It is something much more disciplined than that. It is acting fully where action is needed, then releasing the desperate habit of trying to bend reality with emotional intensity. You do your part, you show up, you prepare, you speak when it is time to speak, you move when it is time to move, but you do not keep grabbing at life every 5 seconds asking, is it happening now? Is it happening now? Is it happening now? Because that energy disturbs your judgment. Marcus Aurelius had to live with this kind of discipline constantly. He could act, plan, decide, and lead, but even he could not force the world to obey his preferred timing. So he kept returning to what was his and letting go of what wasn't. That kind of calm is not weakness, it is maturity. You can feel the difference in your own life when you are forcing something. Your mind becomes noisy, your body becomes restless. Even good opportunities start feeling heavy because you are approaching them with too much inner pressure. And then there are those other moments, quieter ones, where you are still engaged, still committed, but no longer desperate. You are doing what you can and allowing the rest to unfold. That is a very different energy. Cleaner, stronger, more sustainable. Sometimes the strongest move is not another push. Sometimes it is stepping back enough to let things breathe, to let reality show you what is opening naturally and what you may have been trying to drag forward before its time. So this 5th rule is simple, but it asks for real discipline. Stop forcing every door. Stop confusing urgency with power. Do what is yours to do, and then let life move at the pace it needs to move. Because there is a kind of strength that only appears when you stop wrestling with everything and learn how to move with reality instead of against it. Rule 6. Gratitude creates abundance. This rule sounds soft at first, but it is far more powerful than it seems. Because when gratitude is missing, nothing feels like enough. You can have progress and still feel behind. You can receive love and still feel empty. You can achieve something you once prayed for, and instead of peace, your mind immediately moves to the next thing that is missing. That is not because life gave you too little. It is because the mind, when it is not trained, keeps living in deficiency. It keeps saying, not yet, not enough. Something else has to happen before I can relax. And that mindset quietly poisons everything. The Stoics understood that gratitude is not just a nice emotion. It is a discipline of perception. It teaches you how to see clearly what is already here, instead of living as if your whole life begins somewhere else. Marcus Aurelius practiced this inwardly all the time. Even in the middle of pressure, uncertainty, and responsibility, he kept reminding himself to notice what was still good, still available, still meaningful. Not because he was ignoring difficulty, but because he refused to let difficulty blind him to what remained. That is what gratitude does. It restores proportion. It reminds you that this breath matters, this day matters, these people matter. What you already have in your hands matters. And once that shift happens, something surprising begins to unfold. Your energy changes. You stop approaching life like someone starving emotionally. You stop reaching from emptiness. You stop making desperate decisions just because your mind is convinced that fulfillment is always somewhere outside the present. Gratitude creates abundance because it ends the inner habit of living in lack. Not because it magically gives you more things right away, but because it changes the state from which you relate to everything. And that matters. A grateful mind is steadier. A steadier mind chooses better. Better choices create a better life. So in that sense, gratitude really does expand things. It expands peace. It expands clarity. It expands your ability to receive what is already in front of you without constantly overlooking it. And it also protects you from a very common illusion, the illusion that what you want will finally save you from yourself. Sometimes what you actually need is not more. Sometimes what you need is the ability to recognize the value of what is already present. That recognition changes the soul. It softens the constant pressure. It makes you less hungry in the anxious sense and more available in the grounded sense. You still want things, you still build, you still move forward. But now you are not moving like someone who is internally poor. You are moving like someone who already sees richness in life. So this sixth rule is not about forcing yourself to sound positive. It is about training your mind to stop overlooking the life that is already here while obsessing over the life that has not arrived yet. Because the moment you begin appreciating what is already in your hands, your inner world becomes wider, calmer, and strangely more magnetic. And from that place, life often begins to open in ways that tension never could. Rule 7. Master your emotional world. This is where a lot of inner power is either built or lost. Because if you do not learn how to live with your emotions properly, they begin living your life for you. Not all at once, and not in obvious ways. It happens quietly. A mood decides your tone. A wound decides your reaction. Fear decides your timing. Anger decides your words. And before you notice it, your whole day has been shaped by feelings that were never meant to lead you. Stoicism never asks you to become numb. It never asks you to stop feeling. That is one of the biggest misunderstandings people have about it. The goal is not emotional emptiness. The goal is emotional mastery. That means you let yourself feel, but you do not let the feeling take the wheel. You can feel anger without becoming cruel. You can feel sadness without surrendering your whole identity to it. You can feel fear without letting it decide what you do next. That is strength. Marcus Aurelius had to practice this constantly. He was surrounded by pressure, conflict, unpredictability, and the weight of responsibility. If he had let every frustration become a reaction, every disappointment become despair, or every insult become a personal war, he would have lost himself very quickly. So again and again he returned to the same discipline: govern the inner world first. And honestly, this changes everything. Because emotions are powerful, but they are often temporary. They rise fast, speak loudly, and make everything feel absolute. A moment of anger can convince you to say something that damages a relationship. A wave of insecurity can make you abandon something valuable. A burst of anxiety can make you act as if a fear is already a fact. That is why mastery matters. You need enough inner distance to say, this is what I'm feeling, but this is not what gets to rule me. That small separation is life-changing. It keeps you from becoming impulsive. It keeps you from handing your peace over to whatever emotion happened to arrive first. It gives you space to respond with intention instead of collapsing into whatever your nervous system is screaming in the moment. And the more you practice this, the more stable you become. Not cold, not distant, just steady. You begin to trust yourself more because you know your emotions can visit without taking over the whole house. You stop fearing your inner life so much. You stop treating every feeling like an emergency, and that creates a kind of calm strength that people can feel around you. So this seventh rule is deeply important. Feel everything, but do not let your emotions become your ruler. Listen to them, learn from them, respect them, but do not obey them blindly. Because the moment you stop being ruled by every wave inside you is the moment you begin becoming someone truly solid. Rule 8. The strength of inner sufficiency. There is a kind of exhaustion that comes from always needing something outside you to confirm that you are enough. A message, a compliment, a sign, a reaction. Someone choosing you, approving of you, noticing you, reassuring you. And when that reassurance comes, maybe it feels good for a moment, but it never lasts very long. Soon, the mind wants more. That is the problem. When your sense of wholeness depends on external validation, your peace becomes fragile. It rises and falls with other people's attention. Their silence disturbs you. Their distance weakens you. Their approval lifts you for a moment, then leaves you hungry again. The Stoics wanted freedom from that. Not because they rejected love or connection, but because they understood how dangerous it is to build your identity on things that do not belong to you. Other people's opinions are unstable. Their affection can be real, but it can also change. Their recognition can come late, or never come at all. If your inner life depends on those things, then you are always one response away from losing your balance. That is why inner sufficiency matters so much. It means you stop living as if something outside you must constantly confirm your worth. You begin learning how to stand in your own company without feeling incomplete. You begin learning how to trust your own conscience more than the noise around you. You stop begging the world to keep telling you who you are. Marcus Aurelius had to return to this again and again. He could not afford to let praise inflate him or criticism destroy him. He had to stand somewhere deeper than both. That depth is what Stoicism keeps pointing toward. A place inside you that is not built on applause, approval, or emotional dependency. And once you begin living from there, something becomes lighter. You still appreciate love, but you do not collapse without it. You still value encouragement, but you do not depend on it to keep moving. You still enjoy being understood, but you do not fall apart when someone fails to understand you. That is real wealth, not money alone, not status, not attention. Real wealth is the ability to remain inwardly steady even when external validation is inconsistent. And this does not make you detached in a cold way. It makes your relationships cleaner, healthier, freer, because now you are no longer clinging to people so they can hold together a self you have not learned to hold within yourself. You can love without desperation. You can connect without self-erasure. You can receive appreciation without becoming addicted to it. That is strength. So this 8th rule asks something deep of you. Stop treating external validation like emotional oxygen. Let it be pleasant when it comes, but do not build your life around it. Build something steadier inside. Build the kind of inner sufficiency that allows you to walk through life with dignity, even on the quiet days when no one is clapping. Because the moment you stop feeling incomplete without external confirmation is the moment you begin touching a much deeper kind of freedom. Rule 9. Live authentically without approval. This rule asks for courage because it touches something very deep. There is a subtle pressure in life to keep performing, to say the right thing, to appear a certain way, to stay acceptable, understandable, agreeable. And after a while, that pressure can become so normal that you no longer notice how often you are editing yourself just to keep things smooth. You soften what you really think. You hide what you really feel. You shape your choices around how they will be received instead of whether they are true. That kind of living is exhausting, not always in a dramatic way. Sometimes it is a quiet exhaustion, the kind that comes from being slowly separated from yourself. You can look fine from the outside and still feel the weight of knowing that your life is becoming more polished than honest. The Stoics had no interest in that kind of life. They cared about virtue, integrity, alignment, not image, not performance, not the fragile comfort of being approved of by everyone around you. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself constantly not to become distracted by what others thought, but to remain committed to what was right, what was clear, what was true. That is the invitation here. To stop building your life around being accepted and start building it around being real. That does not mean becoming harsh or rebellious for the sake of it. It does not mean turning authenticity into an excuse for carelessness. It simply means you stop asking approval to do the job that truth was meant to do. You stop performing peace while quietly drowning inside. You stop saying yes when your whole being means no. You stop bending your path just to remain digestible to people who were never meant to author your life in the first place. And yes, this comes with discomfort. Because the moment you begin living more honestly, something happens. Some people understand you better. Others understand you less. Some feel closer to you. Others feel uneasy. That is part of it. Once you stop performing for approval, you begin exposing which connections were built on truth and which were built on compliance. But there is freedom in that, a very clean kind of freedom. Because when you live authentically, your inner life stops splitting in two. You no longer have to protect a false version of yourself. You no longer waste so much energy managing impressions. Your words become simpler, your choices become stronger, your peace becomes less negotiable. And that kind of inner coherence is powerful. It may not always be the loudest thing in the room, but it is one of the strongest. So this 9th rule is not just about honesty with others, it is also about honesty with yourself. About asking quietly, where am I still performing? Where am I still trading truth for approval? Where have I made myself easier to accept at the cost of becoming harder to recognize? Those questions matter, because the moment you stop living as a performance and start living as yourself, something begins to settle inside you. And from that place, your life starts to move with a different kind of force. One that does not come from pleasing people, but from no longer being divided against your own truth. Rule 10. Trust the timing of life. This last rule asks for something that can feel almost impossible when you really want something. Patience. Not the weak kind of patience that just sits there feeling helpless. I mean the stronger kind. The kind that keeps doing the work, keeps the heart open, keeps the mind steady, and still refuses to panic just because life has not moved on your preferred schedule. This is hard because when something matters to you, waiting can feel deeply personal. A delay starts looking like rejection. A closed door starts feeling like failure. Silence starts sounding like an answer, even when no real answer has been given. And if you are not careful, you begin interpreting timing as worth. You begin thinking, if it were truly meant for me, it would already be here. But life does not move that simply. The Stoics understood this. They knew that your role is not to command time. Your role is to meet time well, to act when action is needed, to endure when endurance is required, to remain inwardly balanced while things unfold at a pace you may not fully understand in the moment. Marcus Aurelius had no illusion that life would arrive in neat, comforting patterns. He lived in uncertainty. He lived with delays, losses, disruptions, reversals. So his peace could not depend on perfect timing. It had to depend on something deeper than that. That is the invitation here, to stop fighting the fact that some things arrive later than you expected. Not because you are forgotten, not because your effort meant nothing, not because life is cruel. Sometimes things arrive later because something in you still needs to become steadier, wiser, clearer, stronger, or more detached before you can carry what you asked for without being consumed by it. And honestly, when you look back on your life, you can probably already see this. There were things you wanted once that would have crushed you if they had arrived too early. There were doors you begged to open that, in hindsight, were protecting you by staying closed. There were delays that felt unbearable at the time, but ended up shaping your character in ways you did not yet know you needed. That is why trust matters. Not blind passivity, not fantasy, trust. Trust that your job is to stay aligned, to stay prepared, to stay sincere in your effort, and to stop turning every delay into a story about your unworthiness. Timing is not always punishment. Sometimes it is preparation. Sometimes it is protection. Sometimes it is simply life refusing to be rushed. There is a calmer way to live once this really sinks in. You still want what you want, you still move toward it, you still show up with discipline, but you stop emotionally collapsing every time the clock refuses to obey you. You stop treating delay as proof that nothing is happening. A lot can be happening underneath the surface while outwardly it looks quiet. Roots grow in silence. Character deepens in silence. Readiness often matures in silence too. So this final rule is deeply important. Trust the timing of life without becoming passive inside it. Keep walking, keep building, keep becoming. Let time do what time does, while you do what is yours to do. Because not everything arrives when you first ask for it. Some things arrive when you are finally able to receive them without fear, without desperation, and without losing yourself the moment they appear. And sometimes that timing, even when it tested your patience, turns out to be wiser than your original plan. So that is the deeper invitation behind these 10 rules. Not to manipulate life, not to force reality, not to sit there hoping the universe will reward you for wanting something badly enough. The real shift is quieter than that, and stronger. You change the way you desire, you change the way you wait, you change the way you suffer, the way you respond, the way you carry yourself when things are slow, uncertain, or unfinished. And little by little, life begins to feel different. Not because every door suddenly opens, but because you are no longer fighting yourself at every step. You are no longer turning desire into panic, delay into despair, or uncertainty into inner chaos. That is what Stoicism gives you. A steadier center, a clearer mind, a way of moving through life without losing yourself while reaching for what matters. So if something in you has been feeling tired lately, maybe this is where the healing begins. Not by chasing harder, but by becoming calmer. Not by controlling more, but by mastering what is happening within you. Not by demanding that life move faster, but by learning how to stand with dignity while it unfolds. Because what you want may still take time. It may still ask more of you. It may still arrive in a form you did not expect. But if these rules truly become part of you, then something even more important happens. You stop measuring your life only by what arrives. You start measuring it by who you are becoming while you wait. And maybe that is the real manifestation, not just receiving the thing you wanted, but becoming the kind of person who can hold it without fear, enjoy it without attachment, and lose it without losing yourself. So tonight, sit with that for a moment. What if the life you want is not only waiting for the right time, but also waiting for the right version of you?